Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for all your comments, your donations, your likes on my post for Susan G. Komen Race for the Cure this year on April 30th. So if you would like to walk with me 3 miles, I would be excited to see you. I wanted to tell a little bit about my breast cancer journey since this is a momentous anniversary of 20 years. It all started 2002 in May, and it was Memorial Day weekend, and I was in the shower. I felt this excruciating pain down my right side while I was in the shower, and I don't know how to describe it, except I thought I was having a heart attack. It was it brought me to my knees. It was so intense. And then it was over. So I started feeling around on my right side, like, what is the matter with me? And I found a quarter-sized lump in my right breast. I wasn't too concerned at first because I had cysts before that were benign many times. And also I had just had a mammogram in February, and that was completely normal, and a doctor's exam in February that was completely normal. So at first I didn't really think much about that it was breast cancer. But as the weekend went on, I started to worry about it more and more. So I called the doctor on Tuesday, being it was a holiday weekend. It was my first chance, and I had an ultrasound, and it was inconclusive. They weren't really sure. It could have been a cyst. So the doctor said, let's just keep an eye on it. Let's see if we can repeat the ultrasound in a couple of weeks and just go from there. So a few weeks later, I had another ultrasound. And then a few weeks later, I had another ultrasound. And finally, the radiologist said, we need to do a biopsy because the mass is getting larger. So I had the biopsy. It was the end of July, and the diagnosis was stage 2 breast cancer, triple negative breast cancer. And so I didn't have any breast cancer in my family. I thought I was 49. The last thing on my mind was that I had breast cancer. So I started the treatments. We started with surgery. Then I had started chemo in September. And one day when I was sitting in the room at the hospital with the chemo and IV, you have a lot of time to think. And I felt God speak to my heart, and he said, I showed you where the lump was. So this blew my mind. It's like, I hadn't really thought about God, and I thought he was probably pretty angry at me for the way I had been living my life the past many, many years. So, but I decided, well, since God showed me where the lump was, I think I ought to go to church and thank him for saving me from bad outcomes. Because if I hadn't found that lump, I would not have known I had breast cancer. I could have died. It could have been way worse. It could have spread to my body, throughout my body. It was the best case scenario because it had not spread outside the breast. So I went to church, and it was no accident that the church down the street from me, Naperville Community Christian Church, otherwise known as the Yellow Box, their theme, their motto is helping people find their way back to God. So I walked in the doors of that church and was welcomed. And I just knew I was where I was supposed to be. There was no doubt in my mind. And when I was listening to the sermon from the pastor, it was God talking to me. And if you've ever had that experience of being in church and knowing that the pastor is talking to you from God, it was not like nothing I'd ever experienced. So I finished my treatments and started getting involved in the church, joined a small group, started serving, and the rest is history, where I am 20 years later, and my life changed 180 degrees since then. And I can say with honesty, cancer was the best thing that ever happened to me, because it brought me back to God.